Hi everyone, welcome to Hedgehog Hollow. Today I want to talk to you about distress markers. These are one of those underutilized items in my craft. I've had these for a very long time and they survived a few different shipments to and from America. I keep them in the distress marker tin that you can see there that has that window on the top, and today I'm going to be showing you a few different things. So let's first of all grab a marker, and I've been labeling all of my tags with what day we are on. So today we're on day 5. And the reason I'm doing that is if I want to go back and refer to a technique that I've done, I can easily do that, just find the video of the appropriate day. So I started scribbling with my distress markers. They have two ends on them. There's a fine nib and a brush nib. Now, as I mentioned, these have survived a shipment. I bought them in America. They shipped to England, back to America again. So lots of different temperature variations. So I'm surprised actually they worked at all. But they are a little bit dry on the fine end. And I found all of mine were like that. I do store them flat. I don't have the tin stood up. It sits in a drawer so it lays down. But what I'm spraying it with is Distress Refresher. Distress Refresher is absolutely awesome because you can spray your distress ink pads that you think are really dry, and this does exactly what it says on the tin. It refreshes them so that you can use them and you'll get loads and loads of work. I've never had to actually re-ink any of my pads at all, which is why I don't own any of the re-inkers, and I just bought some Distress Oxide re-inkers because I wanted to see what they were like. But this Distress Refresher, you'll find, will make your pads really last forever. So I really recommend getting that. And of course, everything's linked to the description below for you. I did grab a handful of pens and just switch them around to the other way up to see if that made a difference. And I stored them like that. But it didn't make any difference. I think just for whatever reason, my fine nib end is a bit dry. But using that Distress Refresher, the longer I left it, the more it kind of worked again. But my brush tips were working fine, which is the technique I wanted to show you today. So I just thought I would power on. And again, I'm just writing out that they have two different nibs, just for reference. They do come in all 60 of the distress colours, as you would expect. So you have lots and lots of different versatility. I'm going to show you a few different techniques for stamping with them. So I'm using my MISTI. And I'm using the Watercolor Christmas set. I love this set. You should keep it, so I was told, on this large sheet that it comes on. And then that helps because there are some smaller pieces in there that you don't want to lose. So I'm just making sure I can lay out 3 different stamps on my piece, although I'm going to stamp them individually. And then I just make sure that that's in there. I've taken my foam piece out because I'm going to be stamping with real rubber. And as I go, I want to be able to make sure I have enough space to write what I've been doing with each technique, which is why I'm making sure there's some space between them. So I'm going to pick those up onto my MISTI lid and I'm going to start inking them up. So the first one we're going to do is that central poinsettia. And all I'm doing is applying the brush end of the marker on to my stamp. Now, something I was told a long time ago, you'll see my head coming in a second, was to kind of huff on them, so like a ha motion, which you can see I'm doing there. I don't know if it makes a difference. I stamped later on and I didn't do that. I guess maybe if you've been going for a little while, you might find it helps you a little bit. But there's one way you can do it. So you can just add colour to a stamp, and if you don't have that particular distress pad, you can use that distress marker because the markers may be something you have in your room. So you could get a variety of colours in different mediums and you can do different things with them. So for this one, I'm inking up my holly leaf there, and then I'm going to make it react with water because ultimately these have a distress ink in them. So they will react with water. But we'll get to that in a second. This one I am inking up with a few different shades of green. And this is really my favourite technique with distress markers or any kind of dye-based markers that you can do this with. Le Plumes also work if you have those, but you're not going to have that same reaction with the distress. But what I'm doing here is I'm inking up a few different shades, and what that means is I can get variegation in my leaves. I can do rainbow effects on sentiments. I can do all sorts of fun techniques. I can colour different parts of an image. So if I have flowers and leaves, I can colour them different colours. And for this one, I'm just very lightly misting the top just to make sure that it's nice and moist. I'm using my Nuvo Light Mist spray bottle there as well. And what you can see is I get a beautiful watercolour effect, and it also has all of that variegation in it. So it'll take a few minutes to dry, but these sets are really designed to be used with a watercolour effect. And so you can see there the difference. So The middle one I've just kind of stamped, and then the bottom one I've lightly misted before I have stamped out with it. And on that top one as well, I'm about to add some water in a second. I had actually been talking throughout this video. I didn't realize the sound wasn't switched on, which is why I'm voicing it over. But what it means is you get to hear me talk about it all over again, and maybe I did a better job the second time. So you can see here I'm covering up those other two and I'm spritzing it kind of a medium amount of water on there, and what you're going to get is that distress ink reaction on there. So there's another way that we can use it. Again, drying everything with my Ranger Heat It tool, because personally I prefer doing that when water's involved. I only use my embossing tool when I am embossing. So lots of different techniques you can do with these pens. They're super, super versatile, and I just love something that's so versatile for my stamp room. Again, I'm writing on there, so stamp and then water, just ink and then stamp, and then the bottom one will be ink and then water and then stamp. So you can kind of do it however works best for you, whatever notes make sense in your world. And then as I've been adding these to a book ring, and you'll see that I keep adding every single day. My smaller book ring is already getting full. I've ordered a larger one. But now I want to show you some more techniques. This is how versatile these are, that you can do this many things. I was just mentioning there that I do keep a craft sheet inside of my MISTI because it makes it super easy to clean off. So depending on what you're doing, if you're putting a load of mediums down, or you want to put a little bit of heat down, not huge amounts, I don't recommend, but just a light bit of heat, then it's just handy to have that in there, and it makes cleanup super simple. And you don't have to get out any special cleaning solutions or anything, because ultimately it's a MISTI and you don't need to. And so again, we're going to stamp out a few different leaves, and so I'm just getting these lined up into my MISTI. So again, we'll do 3, and then we will kind of work out some different techniques that I'm going to share with you on this one as well. Again, these are just so versatile, and they're quite inexpensive per marker. So for these, I'm going to show you 3 other stamping techniques that you can do with your distress markers. And actually, I haven't got an outline stamp on this. But I'll show you how you can add some extra texture. So again, we're going to ink up our leaf. I'm going to take a spare tag, because trust me, I bought lots for this. And I'm going to spritz my cardstock first, and then I'm going to stamp into it, which is going to give you a different watercolor effect. See here, you get lots more spidering. So again, it depends what you want to do. This might not be what you want for your project, but also you might be doing something where you just want a really soft and subtle background, and that's how you can do it. So then let's try something a little bit different. We could do this. I'm going to go back to a different shade of green. I'm going to go back to my Mode Lawn. Like this. And I'm going to spritz this one a lot more than I spritzed the last one. So you can see it's actually starting, whoops, if I move this over, you can see it's starting to pull on the stamp a little bit. And then I'm going to stamp it out. And again, different effect. So I had just as much water, but because I had it on the stamp rather than on the paper, I get a different effect again. And you can see they're kind of curling up. And this is the thing about having that craft mat in my MISTI, is I can apply some heat into my MISTI because that craft mat helps. I do not recommend you apply a lot of heat. I do not recommend you do it for an extended period of time, but you will find that you can kind of do some light drying in there. So there's that one. And then I wanted to show you, I really could do with an outline stamp. What have I got sitting next to me here? I have lots and lots of different stamps, so I'm sure there must be something that has an outline in it. All right, we will put those 2 to the side, and I'm going to grab a different Tim Holtz stamp. So I have grabbed here Inventor 4, which is one of Tim's Halloween stamps. I'm going to try and get as much as I can onto my tag. I'm not going to get all of it. And then I am going to pick up a distress marker. This is the black soot, so I can ink up my numbers in one colour. I can grab an orange. You can see those brush ends super, super juicy, so it's obviously Something to do with the way I'm storing my pens, because I have plenty of juice in these. So I can ink up my pumpkin. And then for the rest, I'm going to choose a black ink. And I want to choose something that's not going to react with water, so I'm going to take some black archival. And again, these are all Ranger inks and Ranger products, so you can get all of these on that Ranger website. But I'm going to stamp that out. And I'm going to stamp down. We'll see what we get. And you can see, even though that took me a few minutes, my pattern at the top is still really nicely stamped. And so I'm going to just peel this off. I will wash all of my stamps after. And I'm going to do some writing. So we didn't write on this one. So this is water on paper, then stamp. And this is heavy mist on stamp, then you stamp. And so I'm going to just put mist light in brackets here. And we are on day 5. And the reason I'm writing my days on here is so that if I want to refer back to a video, then it's easy for you to find, because you can go, oh, how did I do that technique exactly? You can then go and find day 5's video, and it's super, super easy. So a few things I want to show you. I'm going to just put some water down on my glass mat there, and I'm going to pick it up with my paintbrush, and I can turn these into pulling that colour out. So I'm going to get a really light orange. I'm going to have a bit more of a watery background, a watery stamped image even. And you can see there how it's kind of filled in that pumpkin. The other thing I can do is I can colour like a regular marker. So I can colour just like a regular marker. I'm just going to colour this fairly solid. Or I can use that palette area on my mat, spritz a little bit of water. I can mix in as much or as little water as I'd like, and I can turn them into paints. And that archival is perfect because it's not going to run. So you can see there 3 more things you can do. Look at all the different effects we've got just from using distress markers. So I really do love these markers, so I really should get them out more. I'm very much an outside out of mind person, but now I have all of this wonderful workspace, I think what I'm going to do is have them out a little bit more because I don't use them enough. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. Don't forget to give us a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you get notifications of all the Inktoberfest videos. Also, make sure that you hop on over to the blog. There's a Tonic coupon today. Also, hop on over to the Ranger website to see the full range of distress as well. And we hope to see you again very soon. Happy stamping, everyone. Bye.